Hello, welcome back. Now, we just saw this, but I wanted to go more in depth and talk about this carnival invitation. It's not just these characters, even though those are probably, two of those are probably the most value. But as you can see here, you will be able to select one free character 5-star from 1.1, I think. All 5-star characters available in 1.1 you can pull, right? So by clicking on this invite, you will be able to choose among these characters, okay? This is the roster. So you can choose one copy of these characters. Now, which ones are the most value? That's what you want to know. The TLDR is Charlie, Beacon Bloom, Balloon Party, maybe Diggers, maybe Necrologist, if you don't have Necrologist, right? Just to have one copy of Necrologist is probably the more value than Diggers, actually. But yeah, now let's go in depth, okay? Goodbye for all the people that are already closing. Follow my stream, twitch.tv/Jakazin, hello. Join my Discord, hello. Now, for the more in depth, the characters that are like actual value are Charlie, Beacon Bloom, Balloon Party, Necrologist, and maybe X, right? Now, depends on your roster. Who do you have? Do you have, for example, are you missing a beast DPS? Then picking up Sweetheart is going to help you a lot, right? Are you missing another healer? You don't want to use Lesser, so you don't want to use Dike? Then you pick up Balloon Party, right? Do you need a buffer, a Dispeller? You can use Necrologist. Do you need a Dispeller, a Moxie removal, Andy? Then you can pick up X. Do you need an okay debuffer for mental? You pick up Baby Blue. If you need Diggers, if you need someone that debuffs everything at the same time, like a mini Shaman, you can pick up Diggers. Now, they get power crept Omega hard because of new characters, but you can still use them and probably clear everything with them, to be honest. Now, the mega value comes from these three characters, in my opinion. Beacon Bloom, Balloon Party, and Charlie are huge value. Especially Charlie should be your top priority if you are at P2 or at P4 Charlie. If you have P2 Charlie or P4, you need to pick up Charlie right now, unless you are missing Beacon Bloom or Balloon Party altogether. If you just don't have them, right? Especially if you don't have Beacon Bloom, you should pick her up before Charlie. IMO, but you can override this decision if you really need a star DPS and you're using Charlie. And as you might not know, as you know, or maybe you don't know, Charlie becomes way more powerful at P3 and even more powerful damage-wise on P5. P3 is where you get your buff earlier, so it's easier to do damage and faster. With Charlie, also she has a Dispel on her ult, it's an AoE, she deals a really good amount of damage, especially at P5, right? So if you need to, you should prioritize. If you need her to get those 2 thresholds, you should prioritize Charlie. Otherwise, if you don't have a copy, or if you have all of these characters and you need to choose which copy and you don't need Charlie, at that point you go for Beacon Bloom IMO, because you don't need many copies of Balloon Party for her to function. But Beacon Bloom has a surprisingly high amount of damage on her ult. So if you can get it to P5 and get an 800%, I believe, damage on the ult, that's a lot, right? So I think that's worth getting if you have a P4 Beacon. Even if you're working towards a P5, you have like a P3 or P4, I think that's pretty good, and you should be focusing that one. Now, the other characters, Click. You want my opinion, right? Do not pull Click. You don't need Click. You don't need Dike. You don't need Tenant. You don't need Setsuki. Okay? You don't. You just don't. And you probably have a copy of X. And you don't need Baby Blue either, right? Because you can do that as well with anyone else. You can do that with Diggers as well. You can do it with Beacon on a certain extent because it's global. One of the 2 debuffs that she applies, it's a global. You don't need these characters, right? Now, the only character you might want to get, as I said, is Sweetheart, but the others, to be honest, you don't need them. Satsuki, you don't need unless you're doing Druvis, Petrify, but why would I? Okay. Tenant, if you need some shields, but why would you use some shield? Unless you like the characters, in that case, pull whoever you like. X is for debuffing, the dispelling and mox removal. Click is for Click is for damage mitigation, I believe. I don't use him, but there are some people that like it. I'm not talking about who likes it, right? So if you like it, pull whoever you want. But when it comes to value provided, only a couple of those are good. I would say the good ones are realistically that you have to pull from this, right? Are Charlie, Bicorn, Balloon. Maybe Necrologist if you want like a way of like basically a pickle, basically a tiny pickle. You get a pickle version you want like that uses AP because basically she does the same and she also dispels like pickles. So you can pick Necrologist if you need something like that. It's pretty good. You should pick it up, right? So there's nothing else to say, to be honest. Balloon Party, if you need another healer. Also, she's mineral, so if you need like a healer of a different flatter, so she doesn't get blasted by, she's not weak against something that you're doing, then that's another reason. She applies counter. She's really good. She like the counter is the healing itself. At level 2, the healing becomes a counter. She also applies damage mitigation balloons from the ult, so that's pretty good. The only downside would be that you're gonna have this Balloonka Piñata cards that you don't want to use because they deal no damage and they don't do anything else. That's the only downside. But besides that, she's pretty fine. Big on Bloom and Charlie, absolute best value. So pick them up if you can, right? So that's it. Hopefully it was fine enough. If you have any other question, to be honest, come to my stream at twitch.tv/Jakazin. Ask me there. This is just a quick video. I'm not going to go too in depth because there is no reason to. You probably have all these characters and you probably, if you are new, now you have a decent understanding of what I'm saying, right? So thank you for watching. See you next time.